I think the biggest issue is there hasn't been a lot of top line demand this cycle. And that includes like on-chain, buy a hardware wallet, stack Bitcoin type of demand. So completely non-paper demand. If that had come in, the price would be higher. So I think the fact that that was on the weaker side this cycle left most of the demand in the corporate sphere, right? So mostly people buying either the ETFs in their brokerage account or buying the treasury companies in their brokerage account, or in some cases institutions, buying their other products. And that's been by far the majority of the demand for Bitcoin this cycle. And so that lack of kind of like broad retail demand, I think is the single biggest factor. And then we can add other things on top of that. There's a little bit of fear about quantum, which I think is overblown, but it is I think affecting price to some degree. Um, the just the overall kind of paperization of Bitcoin is an inevitable thing that it has to go through. So I think there are multiple factors, but I actually think the number one thing is just kind of lack of top line demand, either in paper or direct form.
But if I think about that, then it's being called the institutional cycle. And if we think about the markets, then the institutional market is substantially larger than the retail market. So if there is going to be demand through the ETF, and obviously the price has gone up based on the ETF and the inflows that we've seen, they need to buy Bitcoin as collateral for their
Yeah.
clients and for the ETF itself. So shouldn't the price actually increase more than when retail jumps in?
If there was more buying. If there was a tremendous amount of institutional buying, then yes, we would see a lot of increase. Now, we have seen a decent amount of buying, but it's been offset by a similar amount of selling from longer term holders. And that so far happens every cycle. So every kind of major bull market, you see the percentage of coins that have been held for, say, 1 year or more go down. You see some kind of profit taking. And the general trend there is not that those people have, say, lost interest in Bitcoin, is that they've been holding for many years. And they might have put, say, 5% of their net worth in Bitcoin, and it's up over 10x, in some cases many times more than that, depending on how long ago they bought. It could be over 90% of their net worth at some point. Many of them, they want to upgrade their consumption levels. Maybe they started a family, maybe they just, they want to consume more. And so you generally see selling from some of those older holders, and new buyers come in. Either directly or through these proxies, these treasury companies, these ETFs, and things like that. While we did hit new all-time highs this cycle, and I think we'll have higher lows wherever we hit as well. So there has been more demand than selling, but there's not been a tremendous amount of new demand compared to selling, which is why we only kind of we hit moderate new highs. Nothing particularly tremendous, not even a double compared to the prior high for the cycle. And so it's not that there's no top line demand, and it's not that the institutions don't move it. I mean, they have a tremendous amount of capital that they can move it with. But it's been kind of mediocre this cycle, and it's been offset by the holders selling.